We're in Minneapolis for Super Bowl 52 between the Philadelphia Eagles and New England Patriots. Let's head back out to Radio Row for more Mad Dog Unleashed. Here's your host, Christopher Russo.
Now, thank you, Rena. If you watched on New Year's, I think it was the Friday before New Year's Day, you finally learned that maybe, just maybe, the great Jerry Kramer did move that left hand a second or a split second before he blocked Jethro Pugh. And he never admitted here because he didn't admit it then. But you may have moved that little left fingertip, no?
Nah. I'll admit nothing.
The great Jerry Kramer of the Packers. It's always a pleasure to have him with us. We'll talk Hall of Fame here in this segment as well as we chat colonoscopies and all those things a little later on. He did do a good job. Meredith's kid on the Ice Bowl. From a Dallas perspective, he did do a good job analyzing that game.
I tell you, we had him up for the premiere the night before the show was on the network, and we had probably 500 people at a function, and Donnie Anderson, Chuck Machine, Boyd Dowler, and I were all together, and we were watching the film with him, and he's a little bit uncertain about how his mom is in it, and his sis, and Don, of course, and his father, and he's a little bit nervous, and he comes up to the podium after the show goes off, and he's waiting to say a few words, and there's a starting to applaud, and then the people stand up, and the whole room just roars for the next 5 minutes, and they won't let him talk.
The Packer fan did a good job with it, huh?
The Packer fans showed their class and their quality, and Michael starts to cry. He's bawling like a baby, and he can't say anything because everybody's applauding him.
How about that?
Yeah, it was sweet.
Yeah, he did a nice job, and it was a little bit of a Dallas perspective on the pain that Meredith. He didn't take this pain the year before. When he threw the interception in the end zone, that didn't seem to bother him nearly as much. But the pain of that game bothered him a little bit.
Yeah, and certainly combined, I made an impact on whether he got in the Hall of Fame or not.
Oh, I agree with you 100%. He lost both games.
Yeah,
and then he lost to Cleveland the next year and quit, for crying out loud.
Yeah, and he quit early, and so
31 years old. He
was so disappointed with everything, and he was a wonderful human being. He was just a great guy. A lot of fun to be around, funny.
Did Lombardi think a lot of him?
Don't know.
Because he was a sort of flamboyant quarterback. Vince may have not liked him.
Yeah, he was funny, and he was outspoken. He would do things that were a lot of fun, but may not have been that much fun for Coach Lombardi.
I used to hear that Lombardi loved Joe Willie Namath. Is that true?
You know, there was something about Horning and McGee and Joe Willie and the guys who were a little flashy and a little bit cool, right? That Coach maybe always wanted to be more like that than the teacher and the
stern master,
religious guy that gave everybody what for. You know, I think he'd have liked to have relaxed and hang out with the guys a little bit more and done some things, but he wouldn't allow himself to do that. He's a very principled man, very ethical man. A lot of wonderful qualities, Chris. He wouldn't tolerate prejudice in any form.
I know. He did a great job with that, with the old Packers, brought Tunnel in there. Yep. Who is Lombardi's favorite adversary from a coaching perspective? Who do you like a lot? Who do you like to beat a lot?
He really wanted to beat Landry.
The giant history.
Connection
so
there.
that first 66 game, he really wanted to beat Landry.
Yes. Yeah, badly. And we watched that game, that giant game, and they have a situation.
The 58 game.
58, I think.
Well, that's when Landry wanted to punt, and Lombardi wanted to go for the first down.
Lombardi wanted to go for the yard, first down.
Gifford, they didn't. They punted, and Unitas took him down the field.
Yep.
So he wanted to beat Landry. Did he like Hallis?
He kind of admired Hallis. He kind of thought Hallis was a olden gentleman, and he respected Hallis and kind of revered him, maybe even. But he had quite a good feeling for Hallis.
How about Paul Brown?
I don't really know about Mr. Brown. I think he
made a lot of trades with the Brown. He got Willie Davis from him and everything else.
Yeah, he certainly valued his talent, his coaching talent, and his selection talent, because we did get 4 or 5 players from there. And the great Willie Davis is one, and Bobby Freeman is another, Bill Quinlan. So we did get some help over there.
Weeb Ewbank was a hell of a coach and underrated. And he coached the Colts, so he played against him a lot. How about Ewbank, a guy like him? Maybe one of the 2 biggest games in the history of the NFL.
Now,
58 Colts beat the Giants, and the 68 Jets beat the Colts. And Ewbank coached both teams. People don't realize that.
Yeah. He just, I don't think there was much that I was aware of, certainly, Chris, but about Coach Ewbank. Just didn't have the stature, didn't have the...
Yeah, he never really did have that presence.
Yeah, the presence.
Did Lambeau drive him crazy, Curly Lambeau, when he came back? Lambeau's the great legendary Packer, the coach and everything else, named after him. Lombardi probably chaffed at Lambeau driving him crazy.
Lambeau was not his favorite guy.
Didn't like Lambeau.
He was not his favorite. He didn't think...
I hit on one. I had a feeling that was the problem. No, he didn't like him at all. Jealous of him? I
think jealousy. Pure.
Yes, he is the Pack. Lambeau is the Packers.
It's Lambeau Field. And
played. He built the team.
Yeah.
And Lambeau was a little flamboyant, and Lambeau probably wanted to have a little piece of Packers' success, and Vince wanted him the hell out of the way.
That's exactly right. But we had a chat with Curly out in Los Angeles the year before Coach Lombardi was hired. It was the last game of the season. We were 1-10-1.
They were going to hire him be the head coach.
Horning, McGee, myself, Taylor, Fuzzy, Ron Kramer had dinner with Curly, and at the Ram's Horn, Don Dahl's restaurant there in Los Angeles, and we were asking him if he was coming back. And he said, I'd love to come back. I really would love to come back. And I'm talking with the folks and da-da-da. And we thought that, Curly Lambeau coming back. He's had great success. He's won championships. He's won titles. We were 7-5 that year.
First year in Lombardi. Yeah.
First year. So, obviously, he had an impact. But, boy, he was tough to live with. He was really insistent and demanding and demeaning and just screaming at you.
And Lambeau was a little more of a player's coach?
I think so. I never did get to play for him, but he was pleasant to be with and a jolly guy and kind of
The year before 1-10-1, was Scooter McLean that lost as a head coach?
Correct.
He was that lost. He didn't know what he was doing.
He played cards with Horning and McGee.
Can't play cards with your players. You can't. What would Lombardi think of Belichick?
I think Coach Lombardi was a very prideful man, and I think there would be a spark of jealousy there, but also a spark of admiration. I think he would agree with Belichick's methods and his philosophy and the way he coaches and the perfection that he seeks. So I think Coach would, in all reality, admire Coach Belichick.
Because right now, I hate to say it, you know me, I'm a Lombardi disciple, but right now, you got to be fair. History, Belichick's the best coach of all time, and Lombardi's now second.
I have resented New England for a long time. I saw them coming. I saw them get there, and I just was jealous of our records and our time and our recognition, and I wasn't going to like them. But I started watching them about a year ago and really studying them, and I'm going, boy, they're a hell of a football team. Everybody on the team is operating at a high level.
They all got a role. They play it pretty well.
And they play it very well, Chris, really well. And there's not a guy that's loafing. There's not a guy taking it easy anywhere on the field. They don't make stupid penalties. The last game I watched, the opponent had 80 yards of penalties at halftime. New England had 10. And that's classic. And so, obviously, Tom has been the guy that throws the ball and leads the team. And certainly he knows Coach Belichick's position and what he's done and what he's responsible for. So I'm about to throw in with them. I think they're going to win this game Sunday.
You do? Okay.
I do. I just they've got so much poise and so much belief in themselves. You could get behind a touch or two, and that's, hey, no problem. Don't worry about it.
You played, I'm glad you brought it up, because you played in the game that the Eagles last won a championship with Van Brocklin. and you had a lead in the fourth quarter in that game, and they had a big punt return or kickoff return, and they ended up scoring a touchdown. I always wondered this, last play of the game, why are the Packers, from their Eagle 20 down by 4, why are you not throwing the ball into the end zone? You threw the ball to Jim Taylor, and he got tackled at the 11-yard line, but Bednarik wouldn't let him up, and the Eagles won a championship.
9 seconds he laid on him.
But today you do that, we'd be killing you. How do you not throw the ball in the end zone? You're not going to be able to run it in from 20 yards. And he didn't do that from that standpoint, Bart.
He didn't. He really didn't. But
was there anything talked about that at the time?
We were more focused on the 9 seconds that Bednarik laid on Taylor. And the refs didn't get him off.
But you gave him a chance to do that.
Yeah, I know. But we still thought we should have another play, or we were going to get another play off. I was really angry after that game. I was disappointed, and I felt that we should have won the game. And Coach Lombardi came in the locker room late. He was out doing something with the press, and was out of the locker room for about 10 minutes. And he finally came in the locker room. Bring it up, everybody up! Come on up! So we scattered all over the locker room, and we bring it up, and he gets up on a trunk full of capes and whatnot, and he goes, okay, this year we played in the championship. Next year we win the championship.
Never 9 yards short again. Isn't that famous line?
And I was totally convinced that he was right. And I said, I throw in with you right now, Coach. You're right about this. You're right about everything. You're right about your philosophy, and I'm in your camp.
So, in other words, you started that championship campaign the day after Christmas the year before. Hang in there, Jerry. Yeah, we come back with Mr. Kramer on Mad Dog Unleashed. Don't go away.